All right, so we've got, I think the way to just kind of jump right back in and bring Ernie like right into this is essentially to have um Ernie be like the person who kind of came through the trap into the Flame Skull room where Mao was, well, where you guys uncovered Mao. And basically, Ernie has recently essentially just lost their party to that skull that like bites down and like chomps people into like chunks as they move through. So I think we'll kind of jump into it with essentially Ernie kind of coming to that like edge. Let me create a token or
Oh, right.
a character sheet for you.
And Kyrano's feeling bad about it, but he would have just wanted to make sure he grabbed the. 'Cause I think Taryn was carrying the keys, so he just want to just make sure he grabbed those.
You might as well grab the lantern as well. Starfallen. See what I have.
Yeah, that's part of why I say at present you guys have Taryn's body with you.
Okay, gotcha.
So, as you guys are kind of getting everybody back up top, like managing this kind of solemn moment, you have that like realization is like somebody's kind of looking down upon you. And you can basically encounter Ernie's, who is in a similar situation, essentially just finding themselves like isolated and alone in the tomb of. At this point, essentially, um, I wanted to say Glint, um, Quinn, and Zeros know that going back through the Temple of Mao is not safe. So you could kind of like collect yourselves at that point, and like deal with Terran's body, or you could basically move up the river and you're kind of like looking towards, um, like going towards the entrance back down to level 2. You could go back up here to the way like back out into the main, um, like that like magnetic room. But essentially, like you guys can kind of make that decision where you'd like to progress. If you have any thoughts on how you all greet Irnis.
Yeah, so Kyranos is he's kind of like composing a little ballad for Taryn in his head. I mean, it was Taryn and the others who kind of saved him from the spider, and he's sorry to see Taryn fall, but so he might not notice. He might be kind of lost in thought a little bit as he kind of before he notices Ernie. But he would look up, and first he might think like, oh, maybe this is because he lost his party, and he's thinking, oh, maybe somebody else made it out. But then he doesn't. Don't think he would recognize Ernie, but he would kind of like a little cautiously, but he would call out a greeting. As he kind of makes his way back up um, towards this landing here.
Yeah, and as Ernie sees you, as oh, didn't think there was one else down here. Hello.
So besides that, right now your armor itself is kind of like constantly like searing almost as it's like boiling off the moisture in the air. Can you describe Earnest to us all?
Yeah. Let's see. For you, you see young-ish human woman, black hair, blue eyes, not too tall. She's wearing, like you said, the armor, and you can see she has a bow slung as well. And then, of course, you can see the eyes of the eagle, like the mask over her eyes. And otherwise, she's wearing under the armor. She's just wearing like green, like fuck, name for linen, I guess. Not sure if that's the right type of clothing, but never mind. But green clothing underneath her armor.
Like a linen shirt.
Yeah, I think that's right. So yeah, something like that. And of course, you can see her backpack as well. And not sure if you can see it. Yeah, on her hip there would be a rapier as well, and a shield on her backpack. So I think that's what you see.
Excellent.
There are at least a few of us still down here, so fewer every day it seems. Just doing what we can to find our way out of here. And he'll gesture to Taryn. This one here actually saved me only a few days ago, but sadly I was unable to return the favor. I am Kyranos. This is Zeros, Quinn.
Oh, oh, oh. Sorry to hear that. My name's Ernie. Well, I was down here with others before, but they all fell to a trap. The only one left. Well, nice to meet you, despite the circumstances.
It's a not too common story, I'm afraid, but you're welcome to travel with us. I think we're going to try and make our way back across the through the river and down to the second level.
Oh, then have you explored a lot?
A fair bit, though some of it turned out to be not a trap exactly, but some sort of strange mirror tomb. It's a long story. I'll tell you on the way, but we have explored a couple of the levels, and we think we have an idea of what we might encounter on the third.
Well, seems like you have a plan going, and probably safer sticking together. If you don't mind, I'll follow your lead.
All right, welcome, welcome, Ernie. Yeah, and with that, Kyranos will start proceeding back, trying to make his way back along the river, with the idea of when we get to kind of that landing, um, heading back down onto the second level.
My apologies. You were making your way to the stairs that led you back down to the second level?
Yes. Yeah.
Roll a d8, each of you, please. Oh shit, what is the new marching order going to be, as we have Irni, Kyranos, Zeros, Quinn? Does that sound like what you'll do, or at present is it Kyranos leading?
Yeah, I guess for now at least, Kyranos would probably be leading. Maybe with Ernie kind of following behind him, and kind of as we're traveling, Kyranos is kind of trying to get him up to speed on what we've been doing, and then Zeros and then Quinn as well.
So you guys kind of like walk back along the river and making your way upstream, gets shallower and shallower, less and less dangerous. You come back to the area where you know you like stepped out of the stonework, and with a little bit of effort, you're able to find that there's just kind of like a notch into the stone where it's almost like a big jug. You can almost like get your hand around it, where your hand kind of like disappears into the stone, and you can just feel like a little bit of a switch inside of here where you can like almost rotate this little knob inside, and as you do that, it moves the stone in front of you just enough to spot where the doorway is. Once it's slightly moved out of place, you can slide it back with minimal effort and see these stairs ahead of you. There is still light coming up out of the foundry ahead. You'll have these strong smells of kind of like iron in the air, the smell of blood. You'll have a lot of these strong kind of smells of like coal being burnt, and even more so as it kind of like gusts out, almost that like kind of hot ember, like lack of oxygen, because this area kind of gets choked off at first. So there's almost like this little blast, like this blast of the like lack of oxygen in the initial air, that as you like first push through, you almost kind of like step back a little bit. But otherwise, you guys can move in. You don't hear any activity inside of the room. Slowly making your way down the stairs, you are essentially inside of the foundry.
Uh, I don't think I can't move Ernie's token.
Can be edited and controlled by you. Um, See if you drop a token, you can move that one.
Yeah, I can move that one.
Yeah, I'm not sure why sometimes that happens. Like, it should have all been set up, but who knows?
Might just be because it was out before it was set up. It doesn't update.
I'm not sure where it is, but there is a glitch in, if I drop somebody's token, say like 1 out of like 15 times I drop somebody's token, they can't use it.
Yeah, so Kyranos is going to kind of start heading back towards the door leading out. He's going to he'll tell Ernie, kind of describe Withers to him, and just You see him, shoot first. Don't ask questions.
All right.
But Kirinos will he'll move to the door. He's gonna just listen to see, just to check if there's any obvious sounds coming from the other side before moving to open it.
Roll a perception check. You take a moment to listen, and you're up to the door. Seems quiet enough.
Don't hear anything, and he'll go to open the door. And
So you see that same, kind of stairway ahead of you. You can see, like, a little bit of where it leads down to the level below on the south side of it. There's a torch kind of on the north side that sheds light, and signs basically of this hall kind of continuing both to the east and to the west of this position.
so I believe to the west was Withers' office. The east led back to the main section. But Kirinos will suggest we perhaps investigate, head down the stairs.
So as you spiral down the stairs, you guys are going to come to a landing on the south side of the stairs, about like 25 or 30 feet below where you left the landing above. And you should see it probably about center screen. But if you scroll out, it's kind of like mid to leftish on the screen.
Yeah, I think I see it.
Yeah, I see it as
Yeah.
well.
And basically, you're on like the landing of the stair. There's a little bit more stair, like once you actually get closer to that landing. There's like more of the stair kind of continue on down to lower and lower levels. To the south side where that landing is for like, it's like 3 or 5 feet of actual like level instead of stairs. And there is a steel door. My apologies, I need to click over to this. I've been jumping around all of the different pages, and I didn't actually prepare for when you guys got back on the.
But yeah, Kirinos will go to try and open the steel door.
Does not appear to be locked. So when you go to open the door, you are going to open into a small corridor that's kind of like vaguely sort of triangular here. The room's dark, dusty. You're very quickly going to recognize one of these tome guardians is inside of here. So we're eventually going to jump you guys into initiative. The south wall is sloped and has a large rectangular window, like 5 feet by 7 feet high. The window looks into a hallway that's ahead of you. And through a rectangular hole in the hallway floor, and further down into a well-lit room shaped like a cylinder on its side. So I think there's 3 different kind of like viewing ports that you kind of like see in this place. One kind of to the south of you, one kind of like to the east, and one in the floor. Also south, but like right below that one. But for right now, as you guys open the door, you're going to catch the attention of this hulking figure that's kind of like standing in the corner next to a lever. And let me have you roll initiative.
And my modifier is only a +1 dex, so Ernie would be ahead of him.
Why is it showing you a +3 right now? Aren't you a bard?
Jack of all trades, yeah.
Yeah. Initiative is a dexterity test or a dexterity check, so that's why it shows up like that. Jack of all trades increases your initiative.
Yeah, I just meant for like because he's got 17.18.
Okay.
Mine would only be 17.04 or whatever. Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, my bad. I didn't even notice that the 2 of you are essentially 17s. I rolled an 11. I know it doesn't have a +6 dexterity, so it's going to be Ernie to react first as you see this creature ahead of you. I'd say at this point, pretty minimal chance that you like recognize any of your friends' body parts inside of this thing. If we kind of like pitch it as the idea is like you just recently lost your party, but into the future here, there's going to be a more and more increased chance of actually recognizing body parts of your friends being used inside of these things. That is one thing where Jarek has at least a little bit of extra rest in peace ability, in that you're never going to see his body used in one of these things.
Ooh, okay, yeah, that's morbid. But yeah, Ernie's gonna. Not sure. Would it count as cover from where I am to shoot it?
It's going to have minimal cover, so it's probably like +2 AC. If you move into the room, though, you can negate the cover entirely.
And then I'm gonna move in like that, because that wouldn't trigger any opportunity attacks, right? Oh, well, I could just. Not sure how big the room.
Actually, if you give me 1 second. Yeah, my bad. It is not a large creature. So that makes it much different there, because you're not like guaranteed disadvantage by moving into it. So yeah, moving into the room like that. Technically the doorway is inside of its space, so once you move there, it can
Yeah.
swing at you.
Then I'm gonna bonus action disengage.
Gotcha.
Yes, so I get here, and then I'm gonna knock 2 arrows and fire at it. And I'm gonna use sharpshooter. So I wanna try that.
Oh, in the future, once you have sharpshooter, you ignore cover anyways.
Oh right, I do. Yeah, I forgot that. Oh, never mind. Would still get in the room anyways. Yeah, sharpshooter. That's -5.
Yep. I'll make some actual sharpshooter attacks for you that have the inbuilt -5 and +10 already built in.
Okay. Well, I'll just roll it as usual now, right?
Yeah, for now, just roll them. So yeah, 22 and a 20 are both gonna hit, and then gonna deal 16. What rogue archetype did you take?
Oh, inquisitive, so I don't get sneak attack on any of this.
Gotcha. So yeah, but you'll do, what is that, 36 damage to it.
Yeah.
Which will certainly do plenty to this creature as you move in. And then what would you like to do with Quinn?
Gwen is gonna come charging in. Over here and swing at it.
Solid strikes with both, including a crit. And she's doing 35.
This is going really well.
So as she cuts into this creature, already this thing, like it's coming apart at the seams. Already this creature is bloodied. And theoretically that should be good for Chris. We'll go to Kyranos.
Yeah, so Kyranos stepping into the room. Haven't really seen him doing this before, but he's angry at Terran's death. So he is kind of he's gripping the bronze staff. He only grip it one handed because he's got the light the slingstone in the other hand, but he is kind of swinging out with this bronze staff that he had picked up at the Tomb Guardian, and he's going to try to use he's going to use 2 charges if it hits. Huh, why is that not actually rolling the
That is going to be insufficient to hit it.
all right. But yeah, he's standing there, kind of still in his face, kind of just a little too his anger getting the best of him. Zeros is going to try to kind of move in, settle beside him. He wants to keep a little bit more distance himself, and he is going to. Yeah, he's going to just launch a couple of Eldritch Blasts at this thing.
So first one is a solid strike into it for 13 damage. And you're going to see as it's kind of like blasted up against the wall that it's, at this point, mortally wounded. You guys have nearly taken this thing out, and it's moments away from death here. So both attacks are going to go at Kyranos. First one, just trying to slam you into the wall. 21 should hit, and then a 25. And as it tries to slam you into the wall, it's going to deal 20 bludgeoning, and then 11 bludgeoning damage to you, for a total of 31. As it just like, as you're like trying to like swing this like staff of the ram into it, it just kind of like catches the staff, gets its other hand onto you, and just like ragdolls you into the wall, like, "Doof, doof." And it's gonna go to Earnice.
Oh, seeing that, Aaron is gonna bonus action, steady aim. And that gives me advantage on my next attack roll.
Gotcha.
And just gonna shake it. Yeah, never mind. I'm just gonna attack twice as it is. So one with the advantage and one just regular.
All right, both of those are going to hit. The first one is with sneak attack, and then the second one for another 12. Total of 38 more, or 28 more. And that's going to drop this creature as you kind of like plink plink and like piercing through. It kind of slumps up against the wall, releasing Kyranos as it collapses.
And Kyrnos looks a little bit shaken as he kind of as the that slam into the wall definitely kind of rattled him a little bit. But he'll look towards Ernie. Good shot.
Thank you. You all right?
I felt better, but I'll be sore in the morning. But I'm all right. And then you said there was one viewing or window to our south that looked into a hallway, and then you said there was one on the floor.
Yeah, this is such a terribly designed. I meant to relook at this thing to try to be extra prepared for it because it looks nothing like what like the diagrams they show look nothing like the map. So you have a window in the south of this room that looks off into the next room. Um, say, for instance, like, I don't know, Sararak travels through multiple realms, so say this is one of those things where there's like some sort of like clear material that like blocks off the window, but you can see through the window. Um, Tap on it. It doesn't seem to like ring like glass. It doesn't seem to be breakable. And then I think the other one is in the floor. And I think it looks down into that same room. And then I think there is one on the east side of this room that looks off into a little like crawl space. Alright, hold on, one second, my bad. The south wall is sloped and has a large rectangular window 5 feet by 7 feet high. The window looks into a hallway through a rectangular hole in the hallway floor, and further down into a well-lit room shaped like a cylinder tilted on its side. So maybe I'm describing too many windows. I think you just have the one window in front of you. I think it is looking up through the floor in that room to the south of you. And then once you guys dispatch the actual Tome Guardian, you'll notice that it's actually like it was standing next to an iron lever protruding from the side of the wall near where it was standing.
This doesn't look familiar to me, Ernie. We've not explored this place. Seeing that lever, I don't know, perhaps that might give us access, but I'm leery of pulling it.
I could pull it if you want to.
Yeah, I could could try and use my mage hand to pull it if we backed away a bit and give ourselves some space just in case something untoward is attached to it.
You really think so? I think with the way this room is made up, and I think that that creature was standing watch for something to come into the other room and then pull the lever. I think whatever that lever does happens in the other room. At least that's my hunch.
All right.
But I mean, if you want to be cautious, then you could do it your way.
Yeah, if you don't mind indulging my trepidation.
No, not at all. I mean, my other companions did fall prey to another trap, so this place is insidious.
And then I assume Zeros would have to be kind of in the room in order to see the lever, right?
To actuate it, you don't necessarily have to be.
Yeah, so maybe Zeros will kind of back up on the stairs. He'd kind of come just out, kind of maybe like peeking around the corner, kind of almost like where Ernie is, casting his mage hand and using that to try to pull or push the lever, depending on what, I guess,
So
position
as
it is.
you actuate the lever, you like pull it down, and there's immediately like a really loud grinding, kind of like stone on stone metal, and you just hear for about like 15 seconds just like but otherwise from your perspective, essentially nothing happens.
Well, as that noise happens, Ernie is going to be curious and go back into the room.
And pull it again.
Yeah, she's gonna look at Kiernos first, but you ready?
Could we get any sense of how close or how far away that grinding sound seemed to be coming from close by?
I'd say you have a solid idea that it's basically from the other side of that window. But it's definitely south of you. It's definitely nearby. Like you can kind of feel the vibration in your feet as well. But I would say that should confirm to Earney. Like this is probably exactly what you were thinking.
Gotcha. Okay.
So this time, as you pull the lever, you guys will you'll feel it a little bit stronger than before, and you watch as that room starts to spin on the other side of the window. And all of these little, like, stone creatures and carvings almost act as, like, teeth that anybody inside of there kind of would get, like, spun about and just, like, fall into all of these different, like, demonic creatures that are, like, carved into, like, the walls, the floors, and the ceilings. And you start to recognize that the entire room is like a meat grinder almost. If you were in there and this thing saw you, you guys would be pummeled by basically losing gravity as it starts to spin around, and like all of this stonework almost chews you up like teeth.
Oh, well, aren't we glad we went this way first?
Indeed. Not a nice way to go.
No, definitely not the way I would have chosen to go if I ever get to choose.
So do we continue on down? And I'll just kind of gesturing back towards the stairs.
If you don't mind, just wanna have a quick look around first, and Ernie will just go over the room just to see if she can find. Well, basically, she's looking for any hidden passengers. Let's see if the door is the only way to get in and out.
Roll a perception check.
Will I do that with advantage with the Eyes of the Eagle, or
Yeah, based on sight, I see no reason why not. So as you are looking around this room, you do find a little bit of a crawl space off to the east, and you can kind of see this little thing kind of like continues off. It's about like a 5 foot wide by about 10 foot tall little crawl space. For all of you, shouldn't really bother you to like go like just walking through it. But it just kind of like curves away to the north, and you'll lose sight of it after about like 5 or 10 feet.
well, looky here. I found a passageway. Do we want to go through this, or do we want to continue down the stairs?
Of course, we should see where it leads. If you want to take the lead, I can follow right behind.
Ah, follow me, and Ernie will light up her lantern as before she steps into the pathway. Oh, hallway. It's a bullseye lantern.
Um, Wait, do you not have Starfallen? Like you have an actual bullseye lantern now?
Yeah, on Ernie. I haven't picked up the Starfallen on Ernie. I was gonna ask like if anyone else wanted that because I have a lot of magical items on me at the moment.
Well, I mean, Kiranos has his fair share too. But if you want to have, Zeros can carry or Quinn can carry the. I guess maybe Kiranos because she's turning into the goat like visage, and she seemed to recognize that. So maybe it would make sense for him to be carrying it, and he could then stop casting the light spell and have yeah.
Gotcha. So,
Because I was also thinking sorry,
no, go ahead, Chris.
I was just thinking because the armor as well. I thought I read that that was attunement.
Yeah, you're definitely going to be struggle city for attunement.
Yeah, with the armor, then I am full up.
Which I made it. It's just not showing up yet. So, sometime soon here, I'll get you the actual armor.
Oh, is the lantern attunement as well?
Yeah, it was. Oh, it is.
Okay, I think in that case, Kiranos will have to unattune from the. He's going to unattune from the brooch of shielding that he's wearing. So you'll see him kind of unclip this, almost like winged brooch.
That's not the one from Papa Zoto, though, right? I feel like Papa Zoto was the health one.
The amulet of health, I think, was Papazodal. Yeah,
Gotcha.
I think the brooch of shielding was one that he just kind of came in with.
Yeah, because I think the lantern was a ghost lantern, right?
Yeah. I feel like that's a really high cost for what that thing is to call that attunement. So as you guys continue up this little like crawl space, it moves about like 40 or so feet to the north before you see it kind of turns off to the left. And you'll come up to a pretty similar kind of like hidden kind of grating in the wall. And you can kind of like slide it out of the way. And as you kind of like set the grating down, you're going to notice that there is like a golden skull kind of sitting on a pedestal about like 10 feet in front of you in this room. Looking around the rest of the room, like the skull itself doesn't seem to be moving or doing anything. There's stairs like 5 or 10 feet to the north of the skull, but otherwise, this is like a small little room with those stairs and that skull.
And there was like a grating. Or-
Yeah, I like the idea of maybe saying that it's like grating that's like blends into the actual stonework. So like when you're coming up from behind it, you can almost like see the light going through it. But like from the other side, it just looks like the null spaces in the stone is like negative space in the stone.
Ernie is gonna like check the grating to see like, if she can like push it open. I guess would be a way, but either that.
Oh yeah, you can definitely get the grate open to like where you have access to this room.
All right, she does that. Uh, this looks interesting. Should we check it out?
Just be careful. Strange alluring items we've touched in here have a tendency of ending badly.
Oh, but it's all just so interesting, everything down here. I'm gonna take a closer look, and Erna is gonna step forward and like try to inspect the skull a bit closer.
Gotcha. How do you think you're inspecting it? What are you thinking?
She is. Well, she's not gonna touch it. She's just gonna very like closely look at it, like from every angle she can.
Gotcha. You can roll a perception here with advantage. Yeah, so looking it over, you can tell it seems pretty clearly that this is a humanoid skull. It doesn't take you long to kind of recognize some of the like Omawan characteristics, like maybe that this is like a Khajiit, like a cat person. That's a little bit more like traditionally the Omawan folk, but it seems to be like a gilded skull. Anatomically speaking, it seems like this is a real skull. And it's just completely coated in gold.
And you said there are some stairs to the north.
Yet the stairs lead up to. I think up there you're just gonna kind of find like a stone wall.
Okay, so I think Kiernos is gonna maybe kind of start to like be checking the walls. He's kind of looking for anything that looks like it might be writing or hieroglyphs, anything that might kind of be some indication of whose skull this is or what this room is for.
I don't think there's any reason to necessarily find any writing at all inside of this room.
And I'm assuming we wouldn't know anything about any like is this sort of thing like gold, um, kind of like gilded skulls, like a some sort of like historical ritual that the Amowans did? Is there any reason any of us would have any inkling of anything like that?
Roll a history. As you think back, the Omawans were rich in gems. They were not necessarily like a golden race. It would make a lot more sense if there was some sort of like obscure ritual, if it was like gem related, not necessarily being clad in gold.
Yeah, so he'll share that with Ernie. Doesn't isn't what from what I can recall, it doesn't seem like something the Omowans themselves would do. Would have done, I should say.
Oh, well, that's interesting. Then, wonder why it's been done then.
Perhaps to get our attention. And he'll share, if he hasn't already, kind of what happened with the golden sarcophagus in the other room, and how that was basically just like intended to be a death trap. Got a bad feeling about it, but nothing I can put my finger on. I'm gesturing to the skull on the pedestal.
Oh, maybe it's just safer to leave it alone then. But, oh,
Don't see another way out unless Kira's gonna go back to the top of the stairs and kind of this wall, and maybe try to do a closer inspection, looking this time to see if there's any sort of like a catch, or maybe anything to indicate there might be some other like a secret door or.
Yeah, from this side, you're on the like kind of known side of a secret door. So when you come up to this side, you guys are relatively aware right now. This is like the side of the people who care for the tombs, is what that stairwell is for. So when you kind of go up to that wall, the stairs lead to something. There's something beyond here. And it doesn't take you long to kind of like feeling around to notice like this wall has like a little bit of give to it, and as you kind of press into it, there's like a little bit of like kind of a grind, and a little bit of a gap kind of opens up on the left side, and you can kind of like slide this like wall of stone into the east side beside you, and you will see another large hallway where it's kind of like growing with these purple and pink like mycelial matter that's kind of growing all up around it, and you can kind of see um, the hall kind of leads a little bit to the east, a little bit to the west, and straight ahead. So you have Starfallen. How much light are you creating with Starfallen when you kind of like open this door?
What are the options?
Let's see. The normal amount of light I think is a 30-foot. Um oh yeah, my bad. That's just what it does. I thought it had 3 different levels that it could be used. If you go unconscious, she makes 10 feet. That's what it is.
Okay. Yeah. So I guess just the regular 30 feet.
So you would see, like in this hallway, it kind of extends up, and kind of opens up beyond like the view into like a larger corridor ahead of you. And then once you actually step into this room, you'll see that there's like more corridor to the west of you that kind of leads up to a stone wall, and then you can see it leads off to the corridor to the west of you, and that kind of goes off for about like, 20 or 50 feet here. And this is where you can still see that there's 2 of those Tome Guardians like standing at attention inside of those little corridors, just off to the west of, or just off to the east of you.
And do these mycelial growths, do they resemble the ones that we had seen in what we later realized was the false tomb?
You've got keen mind, right?
Kyranos, I believe he does. Yes. Yes. Yep.
So I don't think it would be a stretch for you to recognize that you are basically like 60 feet west of where you came down the last time you were here. Last time you explored through the stairways and you saw those two Tome Guardians. This time you're on the opposite side of them. But yes, this is indeed the same like mycelial matter.
Yeah, so he'll try to whisper to Anthony, tread carefully. You see any odd eye stalks? Don't antagonize them.
Yeah,
We
and at
should-
that she will raise a bit of an eyebrow, like, okay.
We should take care of those, though. And he'll point off to the these two guardians.
Well, how do we want to go about it? Just attack first, or?
Yeah, I'd say as you guys are kind of like starting to contemplate dealing with them, they're going to start to like move out of these little corridors. And let's go for a fresh round of initiative. Oh, my bad.
Oh, I was a little bit fast, maybe.
Uh, yeah, so they're kind of like moving out of the corridors, but they are not moving especially fast. It's going to go to Kyranos. What would you like to do?
Yeah, so as Kyranos starts to see a move, he is going to gonna throw out a hand. He's gonna just launch a firebolt towards the one on the I guess on his left, so the north.
Gotcha. Solid hit with that for 10 damage.
And he's going to just kind of back away a little bit, and he's going to go ahead and bardically inspire, kind of give a little rousing speech to Ernie. So 1d6 bardic inspiration.
And then what would you like to do with Zeros?
Oh yeah, yeah. Zeros is going to kind of move past the others, kind of squeeze past them into the hallway again, or as well. Kind of seeing the launch of the firebolt is going to kind of follow up with his own pair of Eldritch Blasts at the same creature.
So the first one's going to hit for 7. The second one's just going to kind of like sink into its armor and appear to not do anything to it. But it does blast it back as the first one like sinks into and like crinkles some of its armor up.
Yep, and that'll be all for him.
And what would you like to do with Enris?
Ernie is gonna bonus action. Bonus action, steady aim, and fire towards the one in the north. And I'm gonna make both of those sharpshooters as well. So that's what 23 and 14.
All right, so the second one is going to miss as it just like sinks into and deflects off of its armor. But the first one is going to be a solid strike, dealing 25 damage.
And that's all Ernie can do. Then Quinn is gonna rush up to the same one. Let's see. Would I technically be able to hit there? Would it only be better like that? And then Zweihander.
So she will hit with both strikes as she comes across like from high guard, slashing down at it, and then bringing it up from low guard, slashing up across its chest, dealing another 26.
Yeah, and then just because she is hurt, I am gonna bonus action second win with her as well.
Excellent. And you'll see this creature on the north side is already bloodied from your attacks, and it's going to come to the two of them. So let's see. I think I'm going to do 4, 5, or 6 against Quinn there. So it's going to go for Zeros. So Quinn will get an opportunity attack as this one moves away from her. Just hit as it gets out of her distance, taking another slash to its back. And the other one is going to move like, yeah, it just really doesn't make sense. I think it's going to stand back a little bit and just throw something into Kyranos. What were you thinking?
I was just thinking, shouldn't the 14 miss though from Quinn?
Why? Oh, my bad. I don't know why I was thinking these were AC 14. They're 19.
Yeah, because I
They're
mean,
17.
when I just remembered because Erin, Ernie missed with her 14, so I was like, wait, shouldn't that also miss?
It's definitely, I mean, my head is still like fuzzy, clouded, so it's still struggle city for me here. I hope it feels like I'm holding things together. So yeah, I think we're gonna have the one moves up, and it's gonna try to slam Zeros. Like failing to grasp him on the first one, it will get its hands on him for the second, and it's going to deal 15 bludgeoning damage as it slams him up against the wall. And then the other one is going to just kind of like picking up like Detrius from the ground. Is going to just like throw two like um, stone objects basically over towards Kyranos. Its dexterity is much worse, so that should be a 21 to hit. You should still hit. I don't know if you have shield, if it's potential to shield this. And then the second,
Nope. Yeah, Kieran
Gotcha.
doesn't have that.
and then the second one's just a 10, so it's gonna hit you with the first rock, and that's just going to deal 5 bludgeoning damage to you. And it's going to go back around to Kyranos.
All right, so Kyranos, as this thing kind of gets up in his face, is going to bring about an attempt to smash into it with his staff. And similarly, planning to use a couple of charges if it hits.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure how that one's worded. Once you hit, that's when you decide.
Okay.
So that is a hit, so then you can decide how much you want to deal.
Yeah, so 2 charges. So it will be, should be, yeah. Does force damage versus bludgeoning damage matter for these things? Or can I just roll the 3d6 together?
It's magical, so it would not matter at all.
Okay, so that should be 14 with the 2 charges.
So solid smack, and then like as you like use the force of the weapon, there's like an actual like ram's head that kind of like flies out from the staff and like almost forces this thing back as it like kind of stumbles a little bit, nearly losing its footing. What would you like to do with Zeros?
Yeah, so Zeros as he takes the slam, he is going to kind of try and reach out at this thing and basically as he reaches out, kind of his hands like kind of emerging from his robes, and there's like the robes almost kind of like a shadow at the end, kind of wreathes around it as he tries to essentially like latch on to this thing's shoulder. He's going to attempt to cast Vampiric Touch.
$22 will hit. Alrighty, so does Vampiric Touch say it has to be alive for you to gain healing?
Touch of your. It says it can siphon life force, but it doesn't actually technically say the thing is alive. I guess if it doesn't actually like if it didn't deal damage, then I wouldn't gain any health back because they
Right.
fine.
Yeah. So yeah, solid strike. It's going to do 15. I think that is going to kill the creature. Another thing is it only has 13 hit points, so I think you can only do 13. So I would say you would gain back 7.
Okay, so 13. I guess it would be 6.
Oh, I'll round it up. I'm fine with that.
Okay.
I feel like a lot of times D&D rounds up for players and down for NPCs.
Okay. I just always thought like unless it said round up, it was always round down. But yeah, I mean 1 hit point either way doesn't really. Hopefully, won't matter. Yeah, I was surprised when I read Vampiric Touch and didn't say anything about like it not working against like certain creatures.
Yeah, part of what I was thinking is like this is a construct, so it's not technically living.
Yeah, that's kind of. I was a little surprised to see it. Like, I would have thought maybe like constructs and undead are, not affected. Because I know there are a bunch of spells that kind of have that caveat.
So as Zeros knocks this other creature unconscious and down, it's going to go to Innes.
Ernie, it's gonna steady aim once again, and then sharpshooter. Both are shots on remaining golem.
So 18 and 21, both of those will hit, dealing 13, 23, and 33, 41 damage. So you just kind of steady your aim as it kind of lumbers forward towards you. Just plink, plink into it, and then it's going to go to Quinn.
And then, because I was never used it and I wanna, I'm gonna use my Wongo, Spirit of Wongo, to try to stun the creature.
Wisdom saving throw on that one?
Yeah, a wisdom saving throw of 16.
It is going to fail.
I'm just gonna make sure that I'm getting this right. So, like, that is one action, so that I can't attack with my action this turn, right?
Correct. Yep, you've used your action. You can do bonus action things, or you can do like movement. But that's like one of the things where, like, if you still had action surge, you would be able to action surge to do something else.
Yeah, that's what I thought. But just making sure. So I remember us talking about this before, and I thought that was it. Just checking. And yeah, then that's it for Quinn. Oh, I'm just gonna move her a bit, but
So that's until the end of your turn, or is it till the end of its turn?
sadly enough, it's until the end of its turn. But I mean,
Gotcha. So it loses that turn, but nobody else is going to be able to bank from that because it's essentially going to spend its turn being stunned, and then it's going to go back to Kyrnos. I think it's probably safe to say that you guys can kill this thing without taking any more damage here, and kind of progress forward, though. And if that sounds good to you guys, let's take a quick little break. I need to use the restroom.
Sure. Yep.
yeah, sure.
That's a really solid fireball right there.
Yeah, holy shit, that's almost max damage. Just 3 away. Huh.
Yeah, when he rolled that 10 earlier, I was like, holy shit, there's no way that's the level 11 character's firebolt.
I'm back.
Welcome back.
Yeah, I guess we probably should have known, like, when he was describing the chest as kind of like uh, abnormally not like tarnished.
Yeah, I was getting a bit suspicious when it's like it's by a waterfall and it's like on this ledge and it's pristine. I was like, yeah, there's something wrong here, but at the moment I'm like, yeah, I want to check this chest.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing in Taran too, right? It made him greedy and kind of wanted everything for himself.
Well, the thing didn't really make him extra greedy. It's just that up to that point, the spirit of Ublak had made him so cautious that he didn't really, like he normally would, go for chests and things.
Right, like he had to make up for, yeah.
So it's like he knew that he went by this chest before. He was like, yeah, I really want to check what's in this now. And if there's anything valuable, he would probably take it for himself if he could.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, probably another thing where maybe if I had thought to use Mage Hand, it might have saved him. Kind of like the where he almost died from that amulet, the acid.
Well, you never know with these scraps.
But that's why, yeah, I was like, yeah, that golden skull, yeah. Can't imagine there's anything good there that comes from picking that up.
I can tell you this: if you hadn't told Ernie about like the thing with the gems and things instead of golden with the mountains, she probably would have been more curious about touching that.
Yeah, I'm thinking like there's a pressure plate or something under it, like Indiana Jones kind of thing, the bag of sand and the idol.
Yeah, I was thinking something like that as well. But like, I'm gonna tell you right now, Ernie is, uh, yeah, she has the background of like archaeologist, but I made her like she's very curious about everything. That's why she became an archaeologist. It's just like she needs to know more. And if that means touching dangerous stuff, then that means touching dangerous stuff.
Well, I'm good with that.
Well, I'll try to at least not be like if it's something obviously dangerous, like yeah, I'm just gonna grab it, but I can't find anything like immediately dangerous about things. She's probably gonna be, you know, gonna see what this is.
Yeah, and Kyranos would generally be kind of right along with that as a kind of a bard. He definitely wants to maybe not touch it himself, but you know,
Well, if you can see someone
record
else
what
touch
happens.
it, yeah.
Yeah, record what happens when someone else touches it. Yeah.
When you went to send everybody away, I was like, oh, I think Taryn will definitely die if he goes down there alone.
Oh yeah, the chest. Yeah.
When you kind of like slipped a second time, and you're like, you know what? Maybe I should go with you. I was like, sweet.
Yeah, I almost thought Taryn was going to try to make up like this. He's like, no, it's all right. I'll investigate it. But no, I thought that was kind of that worked out a little bit. Like he didn't want to be, Kirinos didn't want to be left at the edge in case he slipped again. And so, yeah, fortunately, it wasn't enough to save Taryn. But
So, if everybody is all good to jump back in, you've got the like double doors of like laughing skulls off to the west of you. You have that corridor that leads off to the north, that kind of like extends off. And I think with the bullseye lantern, you could see that there's a sarcophagus on the north side of that. And that sarcophagus like sits on top of a pedestal of like stonework. But yeah, you guys spend that next turn kind of destroying this last of the guardian creatures. What would you like to do?
well, Kirinos will suggest we check out the sarcophagus. Head down the this passageway here.
All right. I'm kind of curious about this way to the west, but in the sarcophagus is fine too.
We can check the doors first if you'd like. See what's
Oh, certainly then. And Ernie will immediately go to the doors.
Cautiously approaching, or are you just like going forward and immediately like pushing them open?
Well, she's going up to them and she's gonna do like a quick glance over, not too bothered, but just a quick glance to see if she sees anything that might be dangerous, and otherwise she's just gonna open the door.
Self-imposed disadvantage for just a straight perception roll?
Yeah, seems fine with me. Wait, did it roll with disadvantage there? It's weird.
Doesn't look like it from my screen, but it might have.
I mean, it rolled at 23. I'm not sure what it's showing you.
Yeah, usually when it's with disadvantage, it like browns one out, so it's like a darker tone, and then like the more true white shows up to show like that's the one that it used. But they both look like the same like level of white to me.
yeah. See it. The 23 looks a little grayed out on my screen. So
Yeah, so it might have done disadvantage. I've got a whole different um
like color scheme going on. Yeah.
yeah, like I downloaded a new app, and it solves all of my like black background issues, but like my notes program, it makes all of the black backgrounds completely clear. So like when I'm typing in notes and like hyperlinking them, it's like all of the script is on top of each other instead of having like a solid color in between. So like my color's good, but this is not the solution.
No,
But like
I saw what it's going wrong. It's when I roll, it asks for like normal roll or whispered roll, and I press roll, and then it goes to ask me, because the eyes of the eagle, if I want to roll with advantage or not. And for some
Gotcha.
reason, it starts with disadvantage. I think I just double clicked.
Yeah, so when you do disadvantage like that, that's like not only you not doing a perception check, but you're also disadvantaged, so it's an actual disadvantage. So yeah, kind of like coming up to the door, taking a quick look. You don't see any signs of anything like trap-wise. These doors are just like two big, kind of like handles, not necessarily like knobs or anything. Um, just like big flowing, almost like elephant trunk handles. Maybe actually like boar tusk handles. Um, and just not seeing any sign of them being trapped or anything, you can just start to kind of push forward, and the doors are going to open up in front of you. As you kind of push these doors forward, and they creak on rusty hinges, kind of open up ahead of you. You're going to smell like kind of a deep kind of like muskiness and kind of like uh strong like smell of like wine and like fresh cooked like chickens and cow, and smells almost like a dining hall kind of situation in here. And you see that there's a um not banner, um I mean it calls it a fresco. Tapestry, there we go. There's a big tapestry about 10 feet ahead of you that goes side to side in this room. And as you look over the tapestry, you can see there's like servants pouring wine and bringing food and serving. And it's this big, rich, extravagant, like noble, like feasting. And there's a massive boar like on the center table with the king kind of like sitting center over it in like laughter and merriment.
Oh, Aaron is gonna take a step in.
Kyrinos will follow suit. You said the fresco covers like the whole wall.
Tapestry is a better like sound for it. I feel like frescoes would be like solid like stucco walls. This is like a curtain almost in front of you. So
Okay.
if you guys would like to, you can kind of push the actual like tapestry to the side and like step through.
Right, Aaron will do just that and just step through and see what's behind it.
So as you push through and look to the other side of the tapestry, you see as like the merriments have kind of like continued on, and now like the nobles are like naked on the table, like having sex with one another, and like the servants are like pouring wine into people's mouths like as they're vomiting on the floor, as they're making love like to somebody, and the like extravagance is just going like beyond decadence.
It's Aaron who sees, so just gonna go, oh, they were certainly having a swell time.
Seems like quite a party.
Oh, let's see what comes after the party then. And Aaron will go through the next tapestry.
And you see now is like some of the like royals are like stabbing knives into people who are near them and like raking out their entrails and like eating the flesh of other people who are nearby, and like setting fire to the hall as like servants are starting to like scream in fear, and like you can see the boar like carved up and mostly consumed is like sitting on this platter, and it just has this like cackling laughter to it.
That took a turn.
Yeah, this is certainly a party I'm glad I missed.
I don't think these could be walls of history. Um, from the third warning, which Kyrnos would have obviously shared with Ernie. Uh,
It certainly could be. It's a grim history. It's true, but yeah.
and have we seen anything that would look like an actual source of this of the scents that we're smelling, like the wine and meat, like any actual like within the room, either when we had first entered?
I don't think so. I think you might have the sense that maybe you're like walking towards that feast and you might find it on the other side of the tapestries. But I would say essentially, uh, no. It might be magical that you're smelling these things, but I don't think you've necessarily seen anything in here.
Gotcha. Okay.
I think as far as like most of your skepticisms at this point, you might have the understanding that that is just as much like the danger, as anything else.
Well, it's just step through this one as well, and Ernie will go through the next tapestry.
Suppose we need to see how the story ends.
I don't
So,
fancy.
no, go ahead, Chris.
She was just gonna go like, I don't think it's gonna be a happy ending. What with this tapestry?
So, if I can, let me have you roll initiative for all four characters. And then I need a wisdom saving throw from all four characters. As you push this last curtain aside, and you see beyond the final tapestry, along mounted against this wall, is a massive boar's head that kind of hangs like 5 feet above the floor, and splattered all around it, dripping with blood, dripping with entrails, blood, guts, and like collated? That's the wrong word. Um, but when blood like loses oxygen and it starts to like turn into like a plasma almost. Um,
Coagulated.
Yeah.
Coagulated. There we go. Yeah, like coagulated like chunks of blood. But you're basically like pushing this aside to see this like horrific scene. And so Quinn is going to walk forward and stick her head into the boar's mouth. and she will take 16 bludgeoning damage as it just chomps down onto her like neck. And then Zeros is going to walk forward and just like patiently just stand there right next to Quinn while Quinn's head is being like chomped off. Zeros is just silently waiting. And then it's going to go to Henry. What are you doing as you watch these two like move forward and like offer themselves as sacrifice to this thing?
Well, first instinct is to go and
Oh,
run.
my bad. Can you roll another wisdom saving throw from Quinn, please? All right. Your first instinct is to drag Quinn away.
Yeah, like try to drag her out of the boar's mouth.
So you can try to grapple her. I think grapple always has to be in athletics from your side. And she's going to fight you.
And when you fight a grappled, is that also like
She's going to use acrobatics. So as you try to like pull her away, she just kind of like shimmies out of your hand and basically like almost like reinserts her head into the mouth of the boar. Do you have anything else that you can try? Otherwise, it's going to go to Kyrinos.
yeah, no, I think that's it for now.
All right, so Kyrinos is going to kind of seeing this happen, and like kind of like the sudden just like awful scene in front of them is going to just shout like, "What are you doing? Get away from there!" He's going to sort of move to get an angle on the this terrifying boar thing and attempt to um, basically blast it with an Agonizar's Scorcher at the 4th level. If he can angle it so that he's not essentially he doesn't want to roast Quinn's while she's got her head stuck in the thing. So
Yeah, I think that's perfectly fine. It's an object, so I'm not sure you can really miss an object because it doesn't have to save. So I think, yeah, you'll just hit it for 14 fire damage. Does that cause it to catch fire because it's an object?
I don't think so because it doesn't specifically say that. I think spells that do that will mention that.
Yeah. And then Zeros is charmed, so he kind of continues to just wait patiently. Oh, wait a second. My bad. Never mind. It goes back up to Quinn.
Does Zeros get a wisdom saving throw or no? He's continued to be charmed.
No, Zeros is just charmed until something actually happens to him.
Gotcha.
So Quinn's going to take 30 bludgeoning damage this time as her head is chewed on by this thing.
Holy crap! Yeah, she's almost dead.
Almost as. But you can make another wisdom saving throw. And she continues to just wait patiently. And it will go to Zeros. Just wait patiently, and then on to Henry.
Ernie is gonna follow Kiranosli then try to attack the boar head, like knocking 2 arrows and shooting into it. Just because I can, I'm gonna sharpshoot both of them.
Gotcha. So as you pierce 1-2 shots into this boar's head, in like an instant, you're going to see as like Quinn pulls her head out from inside of the boar, kind of looking around confused. Zeros, almost like holding his hand to his forehead, looking around confused. The two of them seem to be pulled away from this charming effect. I feel like that's a huge sign of like 5th edition versus like old school D&D, where there was ever the chance that she was going to survive that.
Yeah, I mean, if you did one more hit point, she was down.
One more hit point was 0.
Yep.
That's decapitation.
Oh. Yeah.
But that's what I mean. Like the average damage for it is 22. That is not a deadly trap. You know, it has deadly consequences, but like again, I think that's the perfect description of like 5th edition is not nearly as deadly as like other things, because there used to be things like essentially in this dungeon where like you stick your head inside of it and you're dead.
Yeah, definitely like old school. You lose that first saving throw, you put your head and it chomps down, and yeah, decapitation.
Yeah, I was definitely like, oh man, should I push this up? And I was like, might as well just keep it how it is. If all 4 of you failed it, it could get pretty dangerous pretty quick, because you essentially just wait while the first person gets killed and they have a chance to save until they die, and then the next person has a chance to save until they die, and it would just like go down that list.
Yeah, if Kyranos had been the first, had failed a saving throw and been the first to stick his head in, he definitely could have. That definitely could have killed him in one, depending on how the damage got rolled.
So, I think this is probably a pretty solid point for us to end things here. Just because it's at the end of what could have been a pretty deadly encounter. And then we can kind of continue forward with that next sarcophagus that you guys essentially revealed already next week.
Yeah, that sounds good to me.
Yeah, sounds fine to me as well.
And thanks for kind of powering through things, Mara. I know it's kind of been easy.
Yeah, I mean, so much of it is like the absurdity of how like short on breath I am, like doing nothing. It's like if I talk for like 15 seconds, I feel like I've got to like hunch over and like gasp for air.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
There were definitely a few times there where I was like noticing I was talking for too long, and I'm like, I'm about to like pass out from lack of oxygen.
Yeah, well, I mean, hope you feel better soon.
Yeah, I mean, I hope it's short lived. If it's like when I got it in June of 2020, I was sick there for almost like a month because I like didn't do anything to treat it. And it was one of those things where because I was like coughing and I wasn't able to sleep, I wasn't sleeping. And it just got to a point where eventually like I was like drugging myself with Benadryl to like sleep through it. And it was just like the recognition like you need sleep for your body to have a chance to heal. So like by exhausting myself, I'm just guaranteeing that I'm going to be sick longer. But I'm definitely the classic, like, male idiot doesn't go to hospitals or to doctors when it's very clear and blatant that I should.
Yeah, I'm the same way. I don't go until it's someone basically forces me to go.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that was part of it.
I'm glad I am the opposite of that. I have seen my relatives basically wait until they're deathly ill before they go to hospital. So I am always like, I'm a bit sick. Okay, I I could get a checkup.
Yeah, when I was first sick with COVID, my brother was like, "Look, dude, you're fucking like dying here. If you don't go to the hospital today, like if you don't turn around and get better, we're going tomorrow." And that was like when I started taking like Benadryl to actually get some sleep, and luckily like turned around. But like I've essentially been using an inhaler ever since. Um, not like all the time, but definitely when I get sick like this, like today, I have to like hit the inhaler just to be able to breathe sometimes. Sadly, I failed to record the start of today's session. It wasn't until we took a break when Taryn was already dead that I recognized that I didn't start streaming with my bot.
Oh, that's all right.
But I don't know if you guys noticed a very odd kind of fact. The last 3 deaths have basically all been 2 days apart in this campaign.
Yeah, I saw the note, and I was thinking like, okay, so as soon as Kyrnos fully turns into like the goat guy, like that's a sign he's done for.
Actually, wait, I said that wrong. I can't think who Serge was. He was Chris's backup character, right? He
Yeah,
died on Flame Rule the 28th, which I think is right before Elias. Jarek died on Elias the 2nd, and then Taryn died on Elias the 4th.
hey, that's just amazing.
But theoretically, part of like what's entertaining about this campaign is if you come out victorious, one of the things that we figure out is it's like a question of like, who's still alive? Whose souls can you save? Because there's like so many people who are just like waiting to like resurrect people.
Well, sadly, Derek is not coming back, right? With disintegration.
Not unless we can find at least, let's say, 25,000 gold plus however much it would
Yeah.
cost to find a caster who could cast it.
True resurrection.
Yeah, I think that's the
Oh.
only way, or maybe a wish spell. But those are the only 2 ways I can imagine. Because the true resurrection, you don't actually need the body. Essentially, it can create a new body. But obviously, we'd have to, I think, lift the death curse first before any of that would work, and have to come up with, probably at least 50,000 gold, because we'd have to find someone who can cast that spell.
I mean, if we can survive this death trap of a dungeon, then there should be some riches to be found.
But then it's like, well, are we really going to spend 50? Like, yeah, Jarek was a nice guy, but 50,000 gold. I mean, we could just, write our own ticket and just retire and live like kings for the rest of our lives.
Well, I mean, it's kind of the aspect of like, Taryn and Jarek were sort of under the employ of Sindra Sylvain. Whereas I don't think any of the others, maybe Zeros was a part of that, but I don't know if Quinn was around. Yeah, because Serge would have been the one who was around for that. So essentially, like, this group doesn't necessarily know except for again Zeros, that there's a wealthy benefactor who's banking you guys to do this.
Actually, I
Right.
don't think Serge would have known either, because technically, wasn't Terran my first backup character?
But you
What?
guys went back after you saved Vorn, and I feel like Serge was already a part of it.
Oh, right, that he was. Yeah, I forgot about that part.
Because that's when you guys were, it was like at level 5. You went back to Nyanzaru, and you guys got those like artifacts. Um, but yeah, like one of the things like to keep in mind is like anybody who solves this is going to be like heroes of the realm. So like the level of like the doors that will open is vast. It kind of really does beg the question of like, does picking up treasure matter when kings and queens owe you allegiance for different things like that? Um, and that's one of those things that I feel like the social uh my brain is so fried, like qualia, like the social power of what you've done is worth more than gold. But it really does come to kind of that idea, like in the epilogue time, how much effort do you guys put into kind of like back playing these characters? Because a lot of that will come to like, if Zeros dies, Jarek is essentially like fully forgotten kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like Quinn has some attachment to him, but is Quinn gonna bend the world to resurrect Zeros? And that's where some of the big questions I feel like kind of come in. But one thing I was curious about, and I meant to actually treat with, what do you think you did with the body of Terran?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, actually, because we carried it away from the ledge, but then we kind of once we met Ernie, kind of forgot about it.
Yeah,
Um,
in, it's not like we can bury him either.
yeah, and I was
I
thinking, yeah, we want to. There's not really any good place to like leave him, like where he's going to be protected from being turned into part of one of those tomb guardians that are wandering about. It's not like we can build. We don't have like the materials or like to like build a pyre and kind of cremate him, unless we. I don't know. Unless we like essentially is the furnace like in the foundry still running? We could. I mean, that would not be a great kind of end for him, but it's probably the only way to prevent him from being turned into eventually one of these sort of wandering monstrosities.
I think that sounds like perhaps the most viable option.
Yeah, then I think Quinn would at least have advocated for that.
Better to at least prevent him from
So one of the other things to keep in mind, did you guys otherwise go through Terran's stuff and effectively loot his body?
Well, I know Kyrinos would have wanted to get the like the keys and the things. I don't know if like in the course of looking for that, whether he would have, um, he probably would have been more interested in like the probably like if he had any food on him or things like that that we could immediately use. I don't know if like during the course of the search if you would have kind of come across anything else, but he wouldn't have been like specifically trying to just like loot everything.
I mean, did you come across the Pearl of Power that he had that he never showed anyone?
Yeah, I mean that's definitely one of the things that I would say. It's like all of the little things that he kind of has on him, of little bits of value, and it's just a question of like how important it is to grab them from him before you guys basically burned his body.
Yeah, I mean, if kind of like saw the pearl and kind of maybe recognized or kind of got a sense that it might be magical, he might have gone to pick that up, something like that.
Well, I mean, technically, the Pearl of Power is a what happens to dinosaur bones?
Oh,
Petrified, fossilized. Um,
Wrong egg.
yeah, yeah, Nang Nang's egg, but it's like an actual egg.
Oh, okay. But I guess he like here, yeah, Kyrnos would have seen Karen pick that up, so and know that it's what we recovered from one of the sarcophagi. So I think yeah, then he would have been, wanting to pick that up. But like gold and stuff like that, I don't think like he would have been necessarily, looting that sort of stuff.
Well, I guess really what I mean though is it kind of comes down to little things like the tankard, the frowning tankard, um an extension from the Chwingas, Mengaleaves, jade rings, healer's kit, gold
Yeah,
torque bracelet,
surprisingly had a lot of things on him.
yeah, gold rings with carnelian, couple of figurines, filter of love. Valdis. Valdis was your first character, right? That's his flute.
Yep, that's the bard's flute.
Thieves' tools, flail snail silver pendant, purplish pink potion, Sky's kit, cherry red potion, and then that's
What about pack rat Taryn was?
Yeah, well, surprisingly, he got a lot of stuff. Like, most of those things weren't even when he started, like, hiding things from people. It's just like, oh, we found this. Oh, okay, no one wants that. I'll take it.
Yeah.
yeah. I'm trying to think of it like the Chwingas. Were those on like the plateau where you guys encountered the hag?
Oh no, those are from the city of Omu. We found like somewhere. It's just like onyx statues. I didn't write down.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I think it was we were going through some caves or some. Yeah.
I think they're at most like 20 gold. Don't think even do with that much.
But I don't know, the stoppered bone, without giving away exactly what it is, like it's a scroll tube. So if something looks like it's like a stoppered tube, like a thigh with like a part that clearly like seals off one side of it, for a wizard, is that going to draw your attention? You know what I mean? Like some of them are a little bit more obvious than some of the other ones where it really is just value.
Yeah, I think something like a stoppered thing like that, or like a potion. Kiranos would definitely be interested in stuff that looks
Gotcha.
like it might just be like kind of like regular loot. Like he wouldn't be opposed if like Quinn or Zeros wanted to take it, but he wouldn't necessarily be like trying to grab all of like not like taking like the rings off a um Terran's like fingers, or like just stealing his money pouch sort of stuff. Not like what was it Jastin did in to Burke way back in the day.
Um. So yeah, I think that has a scroll of cure disease. I'd have to look it up real quick to actually tell. Um, would you take like um the tankard that he has with like the frowny face?
I think he'd be curious enough about that to take it. Kind of like what was he carrying this around for, and never saw Tara drink out of it. So yeah, something like that. He might, yeah, would be curious enough that he would take.
Yeah, spell scroll of remove curse was inside of the stoppered bone tube. So when you fill up that tankard, it smiles.
Okay.
Oh, that's kind of cute.
Yeah, as soon as like you took it with Nang Nang, it was like they're never gonna find out what that thing does.
Well, if everyone else has gone through Terran's pockets, Ernie, unless someone stops her, is also gonna rummage through his pockets as well.
Yeah, I mean this is one of those things. You guys all recognize that you're trapped inside of this place. Leaving assets is silly. Tyrion's dead. Or Terran's dead. You should take what you can make use of.
Yeah, and Ernie is probably she's gonna take the tiger mask because she's curious about that.
I could not think what that was from.
The book in Umawan because, well, that's kind of interesting to her. The thieves' tools because, yeah, she can use those. And I'm thinking, just trying to ask here, did you take the cherry red potion in Terran before?
Ernie can take that.
Yeah, then she'll take that as well. And should probably just take the arrows as well, yes, because, well, we're never a bad idea to stock up on arrows, and she has the place for them.
Dude, I need to mark down potions like that much better. Because those color descriptions are mine. So I have no clue where those potions are from.
The cherry red potion, I remember at least, that's from the Nang Nang's tomb.
Gotcha. So write down on that one, if you will, this time. Cherry red potion from Nang Nang's tomb.
All right, I'll do that.
And then maybe the purplish pink one is from there as well.
No, sadly enough, that I'm trying to remember where that's from. That's from before we went into the like Azarak's tomb. Try to remember
Oh,
where it's from.
gotcha.